So, colleagues, welcome to our panel. And we have got 6 panelists. It's quite a huge panel, but the amount of is going to neutralize the numbers that we have here. Our panel today, colleagues, is addressing beyond fertilizer subsidies. Why do we say subsidies? We know when you subsidize something, everyone has got access to it because it's at lower cost. We appreciate that. And as Dr. Kimani said earlier, they have KALRO has been able to carry out trials for the last 50 years. And they have been able to conclude that long term, in terms of soil health, it's organic, followed by the blend of organic and the inorganic. And last but not least, the synthetics. So, do we go for synthetics or do we go beyond the synthetics? We go beyond the synthetics because it's proven from empirical evidence that when you go for organics, your soils are better. All right? Very good. Now, from my far right, I would like you to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you think about soil. Who you are, add where you are coming from, and what you think about soil.
Hi everyone, my name is Lucrecia Monge, and I work for ICRAF or C4 ICRAF in the soils and land health theme. And what I think about soil?
Yes, please.
Is that we need to take care of our soils because more than 95% of all the food we eat come directly or indirectly from the soils. Thank you.
Thanks, Wangi.
I'm Stephen Kimani, working for KALRO. Over a long time, I have worked on the area of soil fertility and plant nutrition. And I'm passionate about combating land degradation. I think so many efforts are being done to think about soil and to address soil problems. But the issue of degradation, environmental degradation and land degradation through soil erosion and other forces is over time getting forgotten. So I would like to think about that. Okay. Degradation through soil fertility, nutrient mining, and erosional forces and other causes of degradation.
Brilliant.
My name is Juni Wangari, and I'm an organic fertilizer producer. And I also represent an association of organic fertilizer manufacturers in Kenya. And in this journey, I have come to realize that soil supports life. It's no longer dirt, and we need to preserve it at all costs.
Brilliant. Dr. I hope you will not go beyond that.
No, I will not do that.
I know you're an orator.
First of all, I will say I am very delighted to be here for the first time in a meeting where I am suddenly the minority. Other than Sylvia, Waruhi, Wanakimani I met here, and Professor Micheka. The rest of you, I don't think I've seen me before, unless you've seen me on YouTube. Because I've been on YouTube, I've been uploading stuff for the last 10, 15 years, every month, including this month. So they call me Dr. Organic. But I'm actually a trained physician, trained locally, University of Nairobi, Harvard University, Johns Hopkins University, but I'm a farmer right now. In fact, I'm only here because my good friend, Dr. Warui, forced me to travel from Nyamira, where I do my farming, my organic farming, to come and be here physically and enjoy this audience. So, asante sana, a pleasure. I hope I'll have something to add.
You will.
Soil health is equivalent to human health. If you don't sort soil health, you cannot sort human health. And that's why Daktari is here. I am a Daktari. I know a lot about medicine, but I know a lot also about soil and the link between soil and human health. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Daktari.
Hello, it's going to be difficult to talk after Daktari. But I'll start by saying what I think of soil. Soil is, to me, life support. Without soil, I don't think there is any survival for, not just for humans, for any other organisms. My name is Wamboi Mputia. I'm from the Nation Media Group. We have a sustainability hub, and I'm pleased to be here.
Thank you. My name is Colin Sochien. I work for an organization called CREP Program. We are based in Western Kenya. We work with smallholder farmers on issues of agroecology. Concerning health, we know that from dust we came and to dust we'll go. So we need to understand that soil is a living organism. And if we come from dead soils, we will be dead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Ferdinand Wafula. I work for an organization called Biogardening Innovations. We are based in Vihiga. I'm an agroecology trainer. I also coordinate work in that organization. And when somebody mentions about soil, I think about the sustenance of life. And thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, my panelists. And let me acknowledge your coming. And you'll agree with me that we have got an endowed team that is going to drive this panel discussion to a level that we are going to unlock anything that we need to understand about soil health in the midst of these challenges that have been already talked by Silke, our lead editor for the Soil Atlas, and Sylvia, who gave us solutions on how she has been able to address the challenges in her soils. To start with, Dr. Stephen Kimani, I'll start with you. And I'd like you to give us what are the long-term risks of continued reliance on fertilizer subsidies from a soil science perspective.
Thank you, Harun. I would just start by saying that, as I explained when I was answering that question that was asked, we said that combining organic and synthetic fertilizer or using organics alone is the best option over the long term in terms of land degradation. I would just like you to do a small calculation and you see what it means by using synthetic fertilizers alone without any organic. Over the time, we have been told that we need to apply 1 bag of DAP per acre to produce maize, correct? And we top dress that with CAN so that you get the best fertilizer. A DAP contains is 1846.0. So for 1 acre, it will give you 9 kilograms of nitrogen. And it will also give you 23 kilograms of P2O5, phosphorus. It won't give you anything else. You need potassium, you need calcium, you need magnesium, you need boron, you need sulfur, you need all those other nutrients, but it won't supply that. So for the nitrogen, that bag will give you 13 kilograms, okay? So in total, the nitrogen you need for that 1 acre, or the nutrient you need would be 9 kilograms of nitrogen supplied by DAP and 13 kilograms supplied by CAN, giving you a total of 22 kilograms per acre of nitrogen. And it will also give you the 23% kilograms of phosphorus. But the crop, the nutrient demand for a maize crop, if you need 20 bags per acre, that's what we aim for. It's going to subtract 36.5 kilograms of nitrogen and around 20 kilograms of phosphorus. So you'll have a deficit you'll have a deficit of around 15 kilograms of nitrogen in that soil. You'll have already removed. You have a deficit already from what you harvest. There is a deficit of 15 kilograms of nitrogen and almost around 1 kilograms of phosphate. So in the long term, sorry for the calculation. I just want to tell you. I just wanted you to know 2 points that that synthetic fertilizer is already mining nitrogen, 15 kilograms of nitrogen in 1 acre, and around 1 kilogram of phosphorus. So over time, you'll continue mining those nutrients. So if you farm, the farms we have farmed over 30, 40 years. So you can imagine every year you are removing 15 kilograms of nitrogen, next year another 15. That is what is causing degradation and severe decline in soil fertility. And you are only talking about supplying 2 nutrients when you use DAP and CAN. Imagine that farm requires boron, it requires copper, it requires magnesium, calcium, all those you are not supplying. So with time, the soil gets highly degraded. So the use of synthetics, using that example, and the long-term experiment at Calro, which is just here, Calro, it's opposite ABC up here, it shows that over time, the soils are getting degraded. And if we think about synthetics as per the subsidy, in the subsidy program, we only have synthetics. The organic people, my colleague Juni, they are trying to come in and see how they can chip in and also be considered in the subsidy program. So we are facing a danger of having soils which are degraded, so degraded over time that within a period of 10, 15 years, we'll be producing maybe 3 bags in an acre, even when you apply synthetic fertilizer, which is a danger, you know. So we need to think about that and see how we are going to address that. So that is number one. In terms of the thinking beyond subsidy, we need to think about 2 issues moving forward. We need to think about sustainable land management and how we can combat degradation, you know. One thing with synthetics, which are supplied under the subsidy, there is inefficiency in fertilizer. What I mean, in terms of benefit to cost ratio, research has shown that the use of synthetic fertilizers in Kenya is not a profitable business. All right? Even what is supplied at a subsidy, the benefit to cost ratio, when you calculate, is less than 1. So it's not profitable. Yet we need the subsidies because we think about food security. We need the maize. And I think that is why the government insists on, let's use the subsidies because we need maize. If we do not have maize, it's not a profitable business. So we need to think about how we are going to improve the efficiency. How do we apply it in such a way that you get a profitable outcome of that business? You know, the appropriate rate, the required types. You know, we think we go beyond applying a single nutrient to the blends, you know, because you have to blend. You need a fertilizer with cobalt, we need a fertilizer with sulfur, magnesium, and all that. Yeah. But there are also issues with the blending. The moment you start blending, you start now interfering with the major nutrients, N and P, because the mother blend for the fertilizers is usually DAP. So you end up reducing. So we need to think about that. Yeah. And also we think about policy. How do we deal with policy? Yeah. The policy environment is unstable for dealing with those issues. How do we deal with that?
Thank you. I just want to cut you, Daktari, and we have heard it, actually, that you are aligning your narrative that we need to move beyond thinking of synthetics and see how to incorporate the organics. But the how needs to be done. Thank you very much. I go to Lucalicia. And it would be good, Lucalicia, if you can tell us how important is soil microbial diversity in ensuring long-term soil health, and how can farmers support it?
Okay. Thank you so much, Haron. I'll just first mention that at C4 Craft, we are involved with measuring soil. And if you want to monitor how your soil is doing, there's need for proper sampling. I have some models of a tool that we use for our sampling, because you can't just pick one sample from one place and test it. You not get an overview of your whole landscape or your farm. So we do a lot of monitoring using a tool we call land degradation surveillance framework, where we focus on 100 by 100 kilometers squared, and we get around 900 samples from that. And we test for soil properties using spectroscopy. And this is just a modern way of just shining right in the sample, and you have the whole profile of your soil, including all the micro and the macronutrients that are present. As for me, I lead the soil biology lab in the soils and land health. And we look at the microbial as well as the macroorganisms that are present in the soil. Sylvia talked about her results. We are the one who did it for her. We are analyzing bacteria, fungi, actinomycetes, so many microbes that live in the soil. And these are very key. If you take a teaspoon of healthy soil, it has billions of bacteria, millions of fungi. And if this is not present, it shows your soil is not healthy. And this has been in the decline because of so many factors. Some of these microbes are really sensitive to radiation. And if you're leaving your soil uncovered for a long time, the microbial community will diminish. And some of the importance of the microbes in the soil, I can't mention all, there are so many. And just to mention one very important fungi in the soil called Ambascula mycorrhiza fungi. We have around 300 species of these fungi freely living in all soil type, everywhere in the globe. They are believed to have evolved with the soil. And some of the things that this fungi does is create, I see I have 1 minute, so is to have a lot of hyphae meshworks. And these hyphae meshworks are able to explore more soil areas than the plant roots. So what they will do, they'll pick nutrients and water and bring it to the soil. As they colonize the plant roots, they also make the plant pathogenic resistance, because they'll block the sites where other pathogenic organisms can use to attack the plants. And for macroorganisms, maybe for earthworms, you see a lot of earthworms in the soil. There are around 30,000 species of earthworms, different earthworms doing different things in the soil. Only 7,000 have been described. So there's a lot that these organisms does in the soil that needs to be explored. And I saw in the atlas a beetle. I was so excited to see beetles. But when I go to our farm, I don't see them anymore, because there's a lot of degradation that is taking place in our farms. So I see I have 0 minutes. Thank you.
Wow. Colleagues, are you appreciating your learning? We came from chemistry, from Stephen. Now we're on biology. Remember the 3 phases of soil health. We talked about the physical element, the biology, and the chemistry, the nutrition, okay? Now you have heard it. We go now to the physician, Dr. Mukaya. Daktari, how do soil's nutrients influence the nutritional value of our food? And how has soil degradation contributed to the rise of food fortification, creating business opportunity for the industry? The industry is taking advantage of our poor soils, our poor food. And you talk about fortification.
It is taking advantage.
You agree with me?
100%.
Please, come in.
I have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Daktari can talk forever. Thank you, my sister.
Those who want to hear me talk more, just go to YouTube and write down Dr. Peter Mukaya Organic. Yes. There are more than 50 presentations including one I just did 2 days ago. Just go www.organicconsumersalliance.org and you will see the latest presentation on soil, actually.
Oh, really?
Yes, I did
Lovely,
one just
lovely,
2 days ago.
lovely,
I uploaded.
Lovely.
So I don't know where to start, but just to let you know that I have been doing this for the last 20 years. We wrote a book. Look at this. This book is titled Synthetic Pesticides Used in Africa, the Effects and Impact on People, Animals, and the Environment. Professor Micheka will be delighted to, I'll actually share the hard copy with him, because this is the only copy. This is a draft copy. I'm a key author. I'm chapter 1 author of this book. The rest of the people are all non-Africans, and they're the top guys in soil health and soil science, including Professor Huber, Don Huber of Purdue University. I'm sure Professor Micheka knows him. Professor Don Huber. So, hata mkisikia mimi ni farmer, na wadanganya. I know much more than farming. So good people, my reason for being here, my wife, who's a PhD also, who's in the village, told me, why don't you do this thing on virtual? Warui insisted, Daktari, you have to be there physically so that they can see your body language. Sure. You've been in this space for the last 20 years with Akina Sylvia. Sylvia, is that true or false? Actually, we went to Sylvia's farm 10 years ago. Was it 27 years ago? It was depleted. If you really want to see the magic of soil and soil microorganisms and the link with health, don't just look at the soil of Sylvia's farm. Look at Sylvia also. She has refused to age. She's looking. I am serious. This guy here also is 65 years old. My colleagues we went to with Alliance, they have gray hair everywhere. Not that I have anything against gray hair. You see, as a physician, I must show the link between health of the soil and health of the ecosystem, including the health of human beings.
You need a clap.
We have just eaten here.
Good.
Thank you. What kind of food are we eating? So, Warui, we are together. And I'll tell you what Dr. Kimani has shared is an existential threat. Please use your heads. In other words, if there is no food to eat, what will happen to us? We shall surely die.
Sure.
Let that sink in. So why are we consciously poisoning the soil, which my colleague here just said? Do we want to return to dust very quickly? We have to revitalize the soil using every mechanism possible to enable us to sustain our existence on this earth. Everything on earth begins with the lively, the healthiness of the soil. Why would I be here, a top A student, top physician, working with soil? When I was at Johns Hopkins 15 years ago, I learned the lesson. I said, I gotta go back, train my people, educate the policymakers, the people, that unless we heal the soil, the diabetes, the cancers, the obesity, the Alzheimer's, the autism, all these big diseases. Disease is a state of imbalance. You remove disease, you have ease. Are we together?
Yes.
Remove this and you have ease. The same with the soil. Remove the toxicity. Remove the pesticides. Remove the herbicides, Professor Micheka. Remove the glyphosate and phosphonomethylglycine. What do the herbicides do to the soil? The herbicides do two things. Listen carefully and write down. They are antibiotics. Glyphosate, Roundup, is an antibiotic, a broad spectrum antibiotic. It kills the healthy microorganisms in the soil. Hallelujah. Now you know. Don't use glyphosate. Don't use Roundup. It kills the microorganisms in the soil. Number two, what does glyphosate do to the soil? It is a chelator. This is the most important thing, and I'll stop. What do chelators, the biochemists here? A chelator chelates, it binds the minerals, the nutrients, the magnesium, the zinc, That's why there's more diabetes. I'm an epidemiologist, highly trained. That's the link between the increasing cancers, the increasing obesity, the increasing hypertension, the increasing diabetes. And many of you here, 25% of you here, if not more, if I check you, you are pre-diabetic or you have diabetes.
Insulin resistance.
Insulin resistance. Yes. I will stop here for now, good people.
Stop. Hey, it's becoming powerful. Give him a clap. Thank you. I want to give you a break from this kind of scientists and go to the media house. We have a powerful colleague from Nation Media House. And Mbudhia, we have been following your sustainability articles, and we really like the way you write, the way you relate with nature. And I would like to know, how can media coverage shape public awareness and policy action on soil health and sustainable agriculture?
Thank you. Had you asked that question 5 years ago or even 10 years ago, I would stutter and stammer and not have an answer. Because first of all, we knew there was a problem. We could see farmers raise concerns, but we didn't know that we actually could give them solutions. So today, we don't worry much about how we are going to close the gap, because with examples like Sylvia's farm, and I'm using her as an example because she's in the room, and many others, we are able to go to the farms today, tell a story, not just the stories that we used to do initially of doom stories. Our farms are no longer productive. The doom stories of our earth is dying and so forth.
Sorry.
It's okay. So today we have solution journalism.
Thank you.
So today we have solution journalism, which is basically going beyond talking about the problems and showing solutions by going to the people who are doing something about it. And by going to Dr. Sylvia's Sylvia's farm. By going to Sylvia's farm, we're able to see. I think I'm audible.
No. Because of the Zoom team. Yes, thank you, Fred. Thank you very much.
So by going to the farms and showing the work that is ongoing, by showing the differences between the soil that has been degraded for a long time, and showing progressive work that many teams are doing, and showing results that as fast as 2 years, then we're able to communicate to other farmers elsewhere, and easily we replicate these solutions. So that is how one of the solutions we have, or that is one of the roles of the media players. We also have, we are also linking policymakers, experts to the farmers, because farmers have problems. They don't have someone to speak at the high table to say we don't want synthetic subsidies for the synthetic fertilizers. We want fertilizers that are healthy for our soil. So by bridging the gap and talking to policymakers and saying we actually need to change how we've been working, then we are able to create solutions.
Thank you. Did you hear that? Solution? Journalism. Did you know that? It's not just about problems. They are now communicating about solutions. Aren't we proud of that? Give Mbudhia a clap. And now, colleagues, we now delve to this very strong team that is at Mashinani, people who work with community farmers like Sylvia. And we are lucky to have Collins Otieno with us today. Collins, I know in Nyanza, you are a vocal voice there that is really transforming things at the grassroots. And I would like to know, what successful community-driven soil restoration projects have you encountered, and what lessons can be learned nationally? From Mashinani at the national level, what can we learn?
Thank you very much, Dr. Arun. I want to start by saying that the aspect of soil health is an aspect that is not very well known even to the farmers, and to the extension agents, especially the government extension agents. So when you go to the community and talk about soil health, you are like introducing something that they've never had. So it forced us as an organization to really look at aspects that we could use for them to understand what it means to have a healthy soil. And some of these have been mentioned here. It is looking at the particulate organic matter in the soil, looking at the living organisms in the soil, and looking at the pH of the soil, salinity, and have the farmers be able to practically see these things through practical means. So we've come up with ways in which farmers can actually test the POM, particulate organic matter, in the soil practically. And then they look at how that soil performs so that they can see the correlation between the organic matter and the fertility of that particular soil. So they pick, we have an approach where they do trials. They do trials within the farms. So they pick soil samples from the part of the farm which does well and the part of the farm which is poor in terms of fertility. Then they compare the two aspects. There is a way you can be able to filter, get sample filter, and you'll see the organic matter that is left. They again pick different samples from different parts of the soil which are varied, which they'll know that this is high fertility, this is low fertility. They look at the living organisms. We have a chart that helps them to look at the pH, and which shows the range of pH that is appropriate for what they produce. This is also context-based. As a way you are saying, no part of this land that God gave us is bad. There is something that is always suitable. And even with the challenges that we are experiencing of climate change, actually it is creating for us other opportunities. So farmers, once they know this, then they are able to look at this. And then they start making interventions. How can they increase the organic matter? So you teach them how they can be able to recycle the farm waste. And then after some time, once the fertility has come up, they are able to see how this comes in. Then on a second level, we are trying to cascade this to the government extension workers. And so that they also get this information and support farmers that we are not able to reach as extension agents that come from the NGO world. And working also with the policymakers so that we can get policies that can set agenda for the county governments and the national government. So, for instance, in the counties of Homa Bay, we have been able to influence, and they stopped giving chemical fertilizers only. Yes, they now give even indigenous seeds. They give the farmers inputs, biofertilizers. They've been able to do that. And this came through us sensitizing the farmers, the civil society organizations who lobbied during the budget making process for these things to be captured. Before, they would only have maize being given, maize seed, and maybe bean seeds and chemical fertilizer. And now we are lobbying for formation of policies that are going to support the same. So we are doing this at that particular level. We have the policy at the national level, and we know that national policy is also going to be cascaded in the counties that we are working. So we need to work with many stakeholders on the same. Thank you very much.
Oh my. Professor Micheka, the question of extension officers are being addressed. Did you hear that? Even if it's failing on the government side, it's being addressed by the community-based institutions.
Micheka was my VC at Jomo Kenyatta.
Oh, really? Good. That's a mark for you, Prof. Yeah? Now, I think you are doing very well, and colleagues, I know you have questions. Please hold on. You will do that to us after we through with the panel. They will do just a round of one question for each of the panel, then you'll have time to ask your question. Now we go to Western Kenya. And if you don't know where we have got the most diversity of food, it's Western Kenya. Mulima, where I come from, you are gone. Please. You are nowhere. Trust me. You are nowhere when it comes to diversity of food. These guys, represented by Wafula here, they start eating food from the tubers, stem tubers, root tubers, grains, diversity of vegetables, diversity of grains. They even eat insects, termites. They are very good, very nice. I ate, they are very delicious. So, nyinyi watu wa mulima, you are just doing cabbage na pilau njeri. That's what you are maximizing on. Increase in diabetes is taking place. Yeah? Daktari? True. Is it not? We don't have diversity of food. Our soils are gone because of the synthetic fertilizer. Now, Mr. Afula. Sorry, I've praised your community so much, so you allow me to ask you even more than one question. Now, how can smallholders farmers transition to organic and agroecological practices while remaining economically? Sorry, Fred. Sorry, I changed. What I was asking is how can smallholder farmers transition to organic and agroecological practices while remaining economically viable?
Thank you, Dr. And before answering that question, I'd like to just appraise some of my colleagues here, the panelists, especially my good sister from ICRAF, who's just mentioned about the microbial tests they do, and also Nation Media on solution journalists. I think on Sunday, there was an article about the work that I do with the farmers on agroecology. So it's just true what she's saying. We were visited by Esipisu, Isaiah, and yeah, that article was in the Sunday. So good to talk about agroecology transitions, and I like giving this example. We talk about food, and we have two farmers here. We have Wanjala, and we have Nasimiu. In our local dialect, our local language, Wanjala is somebody born during the hunger period. Nasimiu is somebody who's born during the drought, a lady. And they have two farms. So Wanjala wants to grow maize because this is food to him. Nasimiu has got, and all of them have 1 acre. Nasimiu wants to grow sweet potatoes, wants to grow cassava, wants to grow some colored maize, wants to grow a variety of 10 different types of indigenous vegetables. Not forgetting mulenda, it has to be there. Mito or clotularia. And then you have the African kale. And you have the managu. So I keep using this example between Wanjala and Nasimiu. At the end of a growing season, who's got more food? And this is, just think about that. And this is about now the transitions. When we talk about agroecology, we are talking about a change, and we're talking about a systems approach. We're not just talking about yield in terms of maize. And we're not talking about health just in terms of how much you feel in your stomach, but the nutrient density and also the diversity of the different type of foods that you consume.
Did you hear that, colleagues? Please give him a clap. Thank you.
So I think it makes a lot of economic sense to many farmers when we talk about transitions towards this kind of food diversity, and talk about the climatic crisis and the resilience. I keep using this example. Who among these two farmers is more resilient to climatic shocks, to the vagaries of, to erratic weather patterns? Yeah. And it makes a lot of economic sense to think about diverse diets, including the wild harvests. Yeah. And just from what you talked about and from what my sister talked here, we talk about bioindicators, even in the soil. And where I come from, we have mushrooms, a variety of mushrooms. Wow. And these are bioindicators. The edible, we know the edible ones. Yeah. we know the poisonous ones. And where we've had a lot of organic matter and recycling, we are regenerating. We are having more mushrooms. There are some varieties that are lost. In my local language, we call obukusuma. These are very big mushrooms. They are getting lost because of continued use of the synthetics. So in terms of health, this is what makes a lot of economic sense even to farmers. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Thanks for that clap. Thank you very much. Did you hear we are going for a living class? You have the contact here. Yeah?
Just a quick addition.
Yes, Daktari.
The overuse, the mushrooms. That's extremely exciting. The mushrooms. I think it's on. Is it on? The mushrooms, good people, listen to this. Why are mushrooms disappearing? In my culture, we call them amova. Professor can confirm. Amasinga, amandegere. Those fungi, they're fungi. Yeah. They have been destroyed when the soil degrades because of overuse of, again I repeat, herbicides and pesticides. The synthetic ones, the organophosphates. They have destroyed the soil microorganisms and the rhizobial system that supports these microorganisms. And those mabobas, listen to me, the diabetes, the cancer, the blood pressures, the reason why we don't live as long as our ancestors, we do not eat amaboba, those mushrooms anymore. Thank you.
Hey,
we need to bring them back.
Colleagues.
It can happen.
We are having teachers here in a class. Now, we are taking a value chain approach, and last but not least, we are going to the end of the value chain where we are going to the market. And we are privileged to have Juni from IFMAC and Ofimac. Sorry, Juni, yes. And Juni, how can smallholder farmers transition to organic and agroecological practice while remaining economically viable? Why are you asking this now we are on the markets? Remember, we are talking about healthy soils without a lot of synthetic inputs, and so we are going to produce organic products. So, over to you, Juni.
Thank you, Harold. And these mics are not working. Yeah. I can project. I don't know. It's just not working. Okay. All right. Let's try this. We'll continue with this for now. Thank you, gentlemen. We come back to the markets, and let me take you through. It actually starts with who is buying your produce. So the farmer may do all they can in the farm, but if they do not have anywhere to take it, then it all becomes futile. And so we need to create sustainable markets for the farm produce that the farmers are producing. Today, people grow maize because there is demand, and there is high demand, so the prices go down. Everybody is growing maize. So we also need to diversify the foods that we are growing in our farms and create demand for them and create a market for them. Whoever brought maize into this country obviously had some vested interests. So we need to find a way that we can market the millet, the sorghum, the cassava, the sweet potatoes, the arrowroots in our farms, so that we can create a market for this farm produce. Now, when we do that, when we increase the market for farmers, that demand, that pull, actually pulls everything else all the way to the end. And let me just take you through a journey. So this farmer has, bags of sweet potatoes, and he takes them to the market. Who will take them to the market? A transporter will take them to the market. There'll be somebody who will offload them at the marketplace. The market will be so vibrant, we'll be building markets upon markets, because we all cannot fit in one market per ward or per county. So a whole value chain of activities is and making sure that the farmer is finding a market for their produce. Going back to how he produces, he's making the compost in his farm, and where it's not enough, he is buying organic fertilizers or soil conditioners from government subsidy program, and so he's enhancing the fertility of his soils. When it goes back to the producers of these fertilizers, they are local producers. So again, even where the government is saying we are importing fertilizers. Can you imagine if we made our fertilizers locally? 800,000 tons of inorganic fertilizers on average are imported per year. So imagine if we were making that locally. Can you imagine the kind of jobs that we'll be having in Kenya? Jobs first from the manufacturing institute itself or the manufacturing plant themselves. Then we have the salespeople going out to sell these products. Then we have the media advertising and creating awareness about these sustainable products. I mean, a whole value chain is created. And then we also reduce the outflow of foreign exchange. Because we spend about $500 million US dollars a year to import that fertilizers. What can we not do with that kind of money? So markets is what's important.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you, thank you. A clap. Thank you so much. If time allows, we'll go back to our panelists with more questions. But now, with more input, I mean. But now, Fred will open the floor for the questions.
I thought, Haron, you'd want to go another one round with questions, and then I could take up later for the.
Good. Thank you so much, Fred. So, colleagues, here we are, and we are getting well educated. So, especially myself, I feel educated. So, I'll go back to Stephen, Dr. Kimani. And I would like to know what innovative soil restoration techniques have shown promises in Kenya, and how can they be integrated to policy?
What restoration techniques?
Yes. What innovative soil restoration techniques have shown promise in Kenya, and how can they be integrated?
Thank you. You, Haron. I think in terms of innovative approaches, we'll just go back to what we are saying, the aspect of integration. I think that is highly innovative. If we can integrate synthetic fertilizers with organics, then we will be beginning the journey of restoring the soil. And when we integrate, we address two issues. We address the issue of fertility. Soil fertility, the ability of the soil to provide a balanced nutrition for crop growth. What Daktari is saying, a balanced produce has all the mineral elements. It has nitrogen, it has phosphorus, it has calcium, it has boron, it has sulfur, all that. That is fertility. When it comes to health, the health is the ability to sustain, for the soil to sustain that aspect of production. So you are not just producing for one season. You will sustain, the soil will sustain that ability to provide those nutrients. And the way to do that is when you get innovative, to ensure that you use an integrative approach. When you use an integrative approach, you will incorporate what my sister here talked about. You will incorporate, when you incorporate those organics, there will be actinomycetes, there will be bacteria, there will be fungi. And then you have the synthetic supplying the N and P. Then these organics will end up supplying these nutrients that are not in the synthetic. The organic will have calcium, magnesium, boron, cobalt, and all that. And the microbes in it will end up making the soil live and making it sustain itself over the long term, because our soils are degraded. You heard about that. So we need to be innovative. The soils you saw in the chart by Silky, 75% of our soils don't have carbon. when you don't have carbon in the soil, carbon is the source, is the store which the microbes work on so that the soil can release nutrients for crop growth. So when the soil doesn't have carbon, you are going towards having a dead soil. That is dangerous. So we need to think about that, to being innovative so that we look at an integrative approach. The other aspect of the question was what, Harun?
And how can we, sorry.
I can hear you.
How can we
Okay. Integrating this into policy, that's always is a difficult question. I see my teacher there, because he can, Professor Mishika taught me. So I like this audience, by the way, because we have, not just because you have my teacher, but Harun and your organization, thank you so much for bringing all these young people. I haven't seen a gathering with all these young people like this. So you are doing very well. And I think this is what we need for our country, because we need ourselves and we also need you young people. I said the policy environment is quite, it's unstable. But I think we are getting there. We have the National Soil Management Policy, which you need to look for in the internet. It's there in the web. It was produced last year, and it talks about that. It talks about managing our soils, leading to the aspect of integration. The other aspect of policy is also looking at based on the Fertilizer Summit in Nairobi, which was there, was it last year? Yeah, it actually recommended the integrative approach. So the policy will is there, and the country is trying to domesticate that Africa-wide National Soil Health Action Plan to have a country-based action plan. So we have that. And my colleague will mention, we are actually having another initiative to integrate organic and inorganic. And I think Junie will mention it, because she's actually spearheading that process, where we are working with GIZ to have a policy on integration, how we can do that, and cascade that to from the national level to the county level.
Thank you, Dr. for that quite informative approach in responding to that question. Now, I would like to link your thoughts with what Dr. Mukaya talked about, the impact of glyphosates, the two-level impacts of glyphosates to our soils, and go back to my sister, Lucalicia from ICRAF C4. I know your team heading your soil biology lab is working so much on facilitating that element of enhancing the soil biology. And I would be so glad if you can go to a notch higher and tell us what are the impacts of pesticides used on soil biology, aligned to what Dr. Mukaya had mentioned, and what alternatives exist for our farmers, because we want to have that linkage from your lab to the physical, to the living lab at Sylvia's garden, Wafula's garden, Otiro's garden, my garden, Dr. Mukaya, and others. These are living labs. So what options are alternatives are there for farmers?
Okay, thank you. And I'll mention that pesticides comes in different forms. They come in form of insecticides. We have pesticides, we have fungicides. And our research has shown that most of these have negative impact on the life that is in the soil. And just to give an example of nematodes, we have 5 main categories of nematodes that freely live in the soil. And most of the farmers will look at these nematodes as enemies. But out of all the nematodes that we have in the soil, only 1% is harmful. The 99% percent of other nematodes are beneficial to the soil. So I want to ask you a question. Will you eliminate 99 because of one? You should look for alternatives of dealing with the 1% rather than finishing or killing all the other 99%. And some of the impact on the is that most of the soil.
The batteries are going down.
Yeah, most of the life that we have in the soil are very, very sensitive. For instance, what's happening? So if okay, yeah, if you see an earthworm and you touch it, what will happen? They'll just shy off and they want to run away. Yeah. The chemicals that farmers use on their soil make them very sensitive to the skin of these organisms. Like the earthworms are very sensitive, and earthworms are biological indicators of soil health. So most of them will not be able to survive in ecosystems that have these very harsh chemicals. The pH also varies once you have a lot of inputs in the soil, and most of these microbes and macrophages will thrive within a pH. So if you're interfering with the pH in the soil, automatically you will eliminate most of these organisms that are living in the soil. And another thing that this pesticide does is what has been spoken about by most of my panelists here. They will lead to residue accumulation, which leads to bioaccumulations, and this will have a very negative impact on even any other life that will want to try the soil, because the residues will remain there for many, many years. And another thing that this does is also create an imbalance within the soil. I say example. So, yeah, and just to mention alternatives is some of the things that we have talked about. One of them, forestry. If you have trees in your farm, provide organic material for the microbes. Also create habitat, because like we said, most of the organisms in the soil are very sensitive to radiation. So if you're incorporating trees in your farm, they will create more conducive environment for your organisms to thrive. We recently did a project for a site in India where they are doing natural farming system. They leave the soil covered throughout the year. Even when they harvest, they make sure there's something else coming up, so the soil is never exposed to the radiation. And they also practice minimal tillage, and they also do a lot of mixed cropping. Because just to give an example, most of the organisms are just like us. They have their own food preference. So if you're just doing monocropping, you are reducing or you're limiting the microbes that can thrive in your farm. So if you have mixed farming, and these are some of the results that we found from that study, that where they were doing this natural farming system, we had a lot of soil fungi, a lot of earthworms, vis-a-vis where this was not done. So there's still a lot that we can do to create conducive environments for microbes to thrive.
Wow. Wow.
You know, when I hear some of these talks, it's like someone is living with these animals in the soil. You know, the way you're bringing it out. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Look at Licia. And I think it's becoming very clear. I know to some of us the linkage between pesticides and soil biology has not been very clear. Have you heard about those worms, how they are affected by the pesticides that we use on our crops that end up in there? Especially the herbicides, you are right, that are just being done next to the ground, so the seepage will be very fast. Very good. Our physician, Dr. Mukaya, we are back to you. Now he's a soil physician. He has transitioned from human to soil.
Yes, I did. And listen to this. There is a shift globally in the acceptance that unless we shift the food systems back to the regenerative, natural ecosystems, yeah, this is probably better. We are going to die. So even the bad guys who, after World War II, introduced these harsh synthetic fertilizers and synthetic herbicides, pesticides and insecticides, they're not dumb, they're very smart guys. They've realized that if we don't change back to the not necessarily so much money making, because they're quick profits. Of course, after Second World War, people made money from these synthetic fertilizers, which are also bombs, by the way, because those fertilizers and those chemicals were after Second World War, if you know the story. It was quick bucks, there were quick results, but then as Dr. Kimani has ably explained, the science, listen, the science, not conspiracy theory, has demonstrated that if we continue this way with these synthetics, we are going to destroy the soil and we will destroy ourselves. So, take-home messages going forward. There is hope. Number one, in this country, and that's something I'm very happy about, because after that, Sylvia, I went to the village. We finally have a national agroecology strategy, and I can see one of my colleagues from the Ministry of Agriculture, Dr. Orui, it's not my role to invite him or to mention, but I saw him coming in, and you need to know that Serekal is here. And that's a good thing, a very good thing. He has been very supportive. And now, Sylvia, we don't have to talk as small people in the farms in Nyamira County, where I come from. We have support from Serekal. Are we together? Well, this is not an NGO thing that we are doing here. This is supported by policymakers. So for me, that's going forward as a way forward already. It's a good thing because we are now anchored on policy, and it's a strategy document upon which we can anchor, not just at national level, but at county level. And Professor Micheka was talking about the lack of agricultural extension workers. Don't worry, I think we're going to get an adaptation, one of my colleagues has mentioned, in Oba Bay County, where some of you should go for benchmarking, where I work with very closely. People are realizing that these foods are actually very healthy. In fact, in Nyamira County, where I have put up this 5-acre farm that we're calling Ecom Organic Farm and agroecology, blah, blah, blah. If you want to follow up what we are doing, just enter ecomnest.com. Come in. We will demonstrate similar things to what Madam Sylvia is doing. A colleague of mine known as Dr. Kamau, who used to be a pharmacist, took land in Kiambu, 5 acres. That was completely finished. You go there now, lo and behold, is a forest of thriving agroecosystems. Amazing. So you don't have to go to Sikkim in India. There is a whole county in India known as Sikkim. Sikkim is S-I-K-K-M. If you think these things are local, anybody who says organic can't feed the world, you're daydreaming. It can. I was in India, I think it was, was that 4 years ago, Sylvia? We went to, and we couldn't believe it, the entire county is 100% agroecological, organic. The water, the sea, the fish, the animals, the goats, the sheep, the chicken, they are all, it can be done, good people. So I have deviated from what I was going to say officially, but I just say that there is hope. They are doubting Thomas and Zinnia, say, oh, you guys are just talking, unless we grow our maize, and so on. Did you hear what Wafula just said? Among those two farmers, Wafula, was it Wafula and who? Wanjala and Nasimiu. Who of those two are going to be more resilient and sustainable over time? And I'm finishing. And who of those two is going to be healthier? Who's going to live up to 100 years and beyond, like my grandfather, who lived up to 119 years? As a doctor now, I realized, what was this man eating? He had 7 wives, and he lived to 119 years. My father had only 1 wife. At 92, he was dead. So what was the difference? I now realize it is the food. And the food was in the soil. And the soil, somebody saying, and the wives. And of course the wives. I think I'll stop here.
Stop there, Daktari. What else do you want to hear, colleagues? Are we not convinced that it is a soil? It is our soil that we need to take care of. Good. Now, I want to recognize the presence of Engineer Kiplagat from the Ministry of Agriculture, Under Secretary Agriculture Engineering. Thank you so much for joining us. We are happy to have you around. And also agroecology work is domiciled in his docket. So we are really privileged to have you with us today. Thank you, Engineer. I want to go to our journalist on the floor. And Wamboi, you talked about solution journalism. My first time to hear about that field of solution journalism. And I would like you to tell us how solution journalism is influencing the change in the industry landscape and also influencing policies at the county and national government to be able to align their actions, their processes, what they do with the extension towards sustainability of agriculture.
Okay. Again, I would love to acknowledge and appreciate that someone here had an article that related to their work just the other day. And to that, I'd also love to mention that, yes, we have a whole magazine dedicated to climate action, comes out on Sunday, where we cover as much as we can what is happening at the grassroots level and also at the policy makers level, just trying to connect whoever is working on what practice. So how solution journalism has been impacting or has been making changes, small changes but with ripple effect that is going out to more and more farmers, is first of all, when we first started, we'd go out and talk to people, like I mentioned earlier, who were problem-laden because they didn't know what to do. Then eventually we started seeing people coming up with solutions, and I'm happy because I see everyone, all the players here, from the biologists, the chemists, just going to the grassroots levels and giving farmers solutions. One farmer is interested, sometimes it's one farmer in a village. The next time we visit, we find there are two, because the results speak out for themselves. So we go out and we see someone's farm that is looking different. I remember one time we went to Kimana at Oloitoktok, and we found it was very dry, and we approached a very green farm that looked surreal, because everyone else has a very dry and dusty farm, and right in the middle of that was a green farm that had bananas, all fruits. They even had fish. So when we got there, luckily we had the county agriculturists visiting, because the farmers had joined together and come to see what exactly this farmer was doing different. And with that came the government players also wanting to see how best they could replicate that to other farmers and how best they could apply that to more and more people. Why I think that it's very important is, first of all, when one person does it on their own, we can't exchange ideas. This is not a journey for one person. It's a collaboration. It's a collaboration between all the players that are here, the farmers at the grassroots level, and everybody else. So when we amplify one story and someone else reads it and we get feedback, someone says, you did a story, my time is up, I'll just wind up. You did a story in Makueni and we want to try that in our area. We don't just give them we don't just send them there. We talk to the experts who helped people at Makueni, so that the soils at Makueni do not necessarily look like the soils elsewhere. So we are able to talk to the experts and then send the right people, the farmers who are asking questions. So that's how it's been working.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Wamboi. Thank you very much. And now you need to know that if you have a solution, please share it out. And Wamboi is here. Take a number, take a contact, so that we can get a lot of these solutions being shared across our counties and across the country. Otieno, I understand how groups like yours engage policymakers to move beyond the short-term inorganic fertilizer dependency towards the long-term soil health solutions.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We have taken a twin-pronged approach where we work both with the county governments, one, to review their policies, to find if it is addressing the needs of the community in view of climate change, in view of declining soil fertility, and in view of the strategy of using soil health as a strategy for mitigating that. And we also work with the farmers to understand how they can use agroecology to mitigate or to strengthen their resilience to climate change. We also work with the civic society organizations so that they can be able, because the farmers sometimes can know the issues, but they may not be experts in terms of delivering this to the county government and even the national government. So we work with the civic societies players too, so that they understand agroecology, they participate, they take the issues that are coming from them, and with the county also listening to these other two parties, the farmers and the civil society organization, then they can review their policies to make it address the needs and concerns that are coming. Once we have the policies in place and we have the farmers participating in an organized manner through making what we call the climate adaptation action plans, which they present during the budget making process, and their policy, and you find finances are allocated to support this. So with that kind of approach, we find that there has been progress. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think you can see that kind of linkage, which is very, very, very supportive. I would like to go to Mr. Wafula and ask you to give us challenges that, or you tell us what kind of challenges do local communities face in adopting soil management techniques.
Thank you, Dr. I think this is really a wonderful forum. Climate change or climate crisis is real, and farmers in Western Kenya are used to the two seasons, long rains and the short rains. Now this is becoming more intense. The dry spell has just become more intense. That for instance, we had rains in Vihiga and Kakamega last month. For just about 2 days. Previously, we used to have more of it, and so there is evidence on the reality of climate change, and that is really affecting even their activities and their diversity. Because during the dry season, they have certain crops they grow. During the wet season, they've got certain vegetables they grow. So a mixture of this, the extremes is actually causing a lot of confusion. And also, there's a lot of knowledge gap, because as much as we're doing trainings on agroecology, it's knowledge intensive. Just to give an example, in relation to what my sister from ICRAF was talking about, the bioindicators, that when there is low organic matter in the soil, and farmers just grow one type of crop, they will have, in some regions of Huisero, if you know Kakamega, and parts of Emuhaya, we've got some termite species. The local, we call them amafuetere, but they produce actually the very good winged termites that we eat. So in the absence of soil organic matter, they will eat even the green leaves or stems of your maize. Now, we've been doing trials with farmers. That when you add more organic matter in the soil, that does not become an issue. Because these termites are the best farmers. They use a lot of organic matter they eat. And when you integrate trees on the same piece of land to provide more organic matter on a continuous basis, then they don't become a problem. But then farmers who just have cleared everything, will be tempted to use the chemicals again to kill them. And again, now just destroy the soil biology. And so there's a lot of this knowledge gap. And when we do practical trainings and also demonstrate, then we're able to overcome some of those knowledge gap trainings. And also on policy issues, there is always a challenge on how even the county governments communicate with farmers on future direction in relation to these issues related to climate change. That, for instance, you've heard about climate smart kind of strategies and what. And actually what they're talking is not about sustainable solutions. And farmers getting confused in this. So there's a lot of effort that is needed to work towards this bridging these knowledge gaps that farmers are facing. And that's actually what we are doing together with other stakeholders. That, for instance, right now, biogardening innovation through partnership with the Alliance for Food Sovereignty in Africa and Maseno University are having a farmer research network in Vihiga and Kakamega to work with farmers on bridging these knowledge gaps, issues around biofertilizers and issues around just enhancing soil health. Thank you.
Wow. Proponents of climate smart agriculture, watch out. Wafula is here. We are confusing farmers with those terminologies, innovations that actually go against the principles of agroecology. Let's watch out, okay? There we are. Now, last but not least, we said we are using the value chain approach, isn't it? The market value chain approach. So, we go to Juni. Juni, what is the role of markets and value chains in promoting sustainable soil management practices?
It goes back to creating the markets for these products, as I was saying earlier. And once you provide a sustainable market, remember I talked about the pool. It pulls every other value chain along that path. It starts even from ourselves as organic fertilizer manufacturers. When the farmer knows where to take the produce, then he's able to buy our products. When we also have sustainable feedstock, remember, and the room earlier on in the morning, people were talking about how can we use these farm residues to make organic fertilizers or biofertilizers and bring them back to the soil. That feedstock, that residue is our feedstock. And so I would like to actually inform the people seated in this room that Organic Fertilizer and Input Manufacturers Association of Kenya has 17 members, or rather 18 members, 17 of whom are local manufacturers of organic fertilizers. And so when we increase food production, we are going to increase the agricultural residue, and we are going to produce more organic fertilizers and soil conditioners to serve the needs in the market. So for us is to really establish how do we create a market for the farmers' produce. And it's very encouraging to see how the counties have embraced the concept of aggregation. So this is another value chain that has been developed within that framework of creating sustainability, because the government has also established that without sustainable markets, then it blocks productivity across the chain. And so these aggregation centers are going to create a market for the farmers, and eventually, you'll also produce, we'll also extend to value addition, because a lot of farm produce is sold, but a lot of it remains. So how do we preserve what remains? So there's a whole cold chain, value chain there that can be developed to ensure that we are protecting or rather reducing food wastage or crop wastage or production wastage. And then how do we add value to these items? So again, a whole value chain of manufacturing is going to evolve from that activity. So you can see how different value chains are coming to formation by just creating the market for the farm produce. You earlier talked about how do we transition this small-scale farmer. Kenya is in a very good place because 75 to 80% of our food-producing agriculturalists are small-scale farmers. So that is actually a very good place to be if we have concerted efforts towards enriching them with skills and knowledge and practical experiences like what Sylvia was talking about, so that they can see it can be done. The 25% who are left, I mean, they don't even feed us. They are exporters of flowers and horticulture. So we actually stand a very good place in Kenya to actually impact food security and nutrition security by addressing the soils of the small-scale farmer. And it also goes back into what produce, like now when we promote inorganic fertilizers in the government subsidy. Once we put in organics in the government subsidy, then we will be motivating the right behavior. Because here then we are saying, Mr. Farmer, you have the DAP, but please buy the bag of organics or two to start enriching your soils in exactly what Dr. Kimani has talked about. And we are actually doing that because today, as we speak, we have actually partnered, OFIMAC has partnered with NCPB to actually drive a last mile distribution of organic fertilizers to promote soil health. And we are promoting when a farmer comes to pick their 2 bags of DAP, 2 bags of CAN, 2 bags of NPK, please pick at least 1 bag of organic fertilizer that is in the store. Our products are already available, so you can spread the gospel as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Junie. And a lot of applause to our panelists. Thank you. I will kindly ask you to remain there for some few minutes because there could be some questions online and also from our audience here. But before that, it's always good manners to welcome the representative from the government, Dr. Virginia Kibrakat. If I'll give you 2 minutes. If there's any policy issue you want to share with us here, this is your time.
Thank you very much. I really don't want to say a lot, and all protocols observed. I'm privileged to stand here before you because what we are discussing is very weighty. We government, we have learned through you that we must listen. And once we listen, we pick up the issues and we ensure that we review and enrich our policy. Unlike before, policies used to come top down without any form of supporting evidence. But now we look for evidence-based policy making. And I'm happy that what is coming out of here is actually very impactful and is coming at the right time. We have passed the soil management policy, which I've heard it is now very much in your audience. We also have the agroecology strategy, among other so many other policies that do speak to this aspect of soil. Before we used to talk about soil conservation, soil protection, soil management, but the narrative now is coming to soil health simply because of the understanding that is coming. It's a reality that's coming to all of us. Our CS, Senator Mutahi Kagwe, has pronounced himself that he wants to make agriculture great again, which is quite okay. Our PS, Dr. Paul Rono, has talked that he wants Kenya to be food sovereign. I don't know what that sovereignty is. And we technocrats, we are here to ensure that that is achieved in a very sustainable way. And that's why today I was in another meeting, but when I heard we are here, I sent my advanced team to come and listen because we are strengthening our soil and agroecology unit so that it will be listening to some of these things to influence policy so that the actors like all of us here can now be able to have an enabling environment where we can work together to advance this undertaking. We, of course, we know we've been talking about food security because of rising population, but the issue of soil has never picked up. But this is the right time, ladies and gentlemen, and we from where we sit. When I asked for permission, because I was also supposed to chair another meeting, that there's a very critical meeting here. I think the PS had it with one word, and he was able to appoint another person to come and sit in that panel and says, go and listen. And we are spelling our policies that we are ready as government to work with all of us. And I'm very privileged that the youth are here. The future of agriculture, the future of soil health lies in the youth, because knowledge and information is more accessible to the youth than maybe some of us. And we as a ministry, we are ready to work together. We are ready to listen to you. We are packaging our products so that along the whole value chain, even of soil, everyone can have something to do. If, for example, you can become a community, then the others who may not have had will actually know that this is how to do things. So we, as a country, we hosted the African Fertilizer and Soil Health Summit. And I'm sorry if I'm taking more time, but let me be very clear. And when we hosted, it was said that the last one was in Abuja in 2006. And since that time, up to the other day, there was no report to be given. So they challenged us that this time there must be reporting, and we are giving a 10-year plan. And then they gave us a framework on how to be reporting. When we were trying to customize to Kenya, we realized that we are far ahead of the other African countries by the virtue of the fact that our soil policy had been launched and it had other indicators that we felt they must also be part of it. But when it came out, we found that they are looking at soil in totality. It's a soil in holistically. They are talking about integrated approaches, organic fertilizer, communication, investment, and so on. So what we have done as a country, because that is going to be the document that will actually guide government investment in the soil sector alongside all of us, is that we have domesticated, as it has been said here, and it's not just domestication alone. We are going to have what we are calling a national validation. And in the national validation, everybody's voice will be heard so that we are all aware about the obligations that we are committing ourselves as government, as farmers, as taxpayers, on how we want to take forward our soil moving forward. And I'm very optimistic. That when it comes to the reporting, I believe we will be among the best in Africa. I know we lost the African Union chairmanship, but this time round, they'll not beat us in soil, because we are committing ourselves and we are ready to work with every one of us here and ensure that also we communicate. Let me finish by saying, I have a friend of mine in the Moi University, and I was challenging him that you are a professor. What do you propose? You know the challenge. You know you can give the challenges facing Kenya. They list so much. As a professor, what do you should be the answer to some of this so that we pick it up ourselves? Then they were saying, oh no, you have not paid us. Oh yes, you have not done this. I told them, when you are taking coffee, even in the senior, I think the professor knows what they call it. Yeah. When you are there, what do you discuss? Can you even write a book of one page and put in the paper and say this is our observation, this can be done, so that the government can see and the other people can see? Then yesterday, last evening, I told him that the president is going to launch a project in Bura irrigation scheme, gravity-fed system that will save this country over 10 million Kenya shillings per month in form of fuel that we used to run there. Then it will open up over 40,000 acres plus for irrigation, for food production. And we are going to produce different types of food. Then he asked me, then where have you been? Why are you not telling us? It changed. So what the message that I'm trying to say is that communication is power. All these ideas that we have said here today, I'm happy we are a mix. We from government, we have picked. The press is here. And even Aaron, plus your team, and every one of us. I know if you can invest in some little communication out so that the practitioners, the politicians, the youth, and the potential buyers of Kenyan products and manufacturers, then we'll take this country to the next level. Thank you very much. I'm very happy. We are privileged to be part, and we look forward to working together.
Thank you very much. That was powerful, and thank you for the support from the government, especially the Ministry of Agriculture. I think Harun can attest to it. They have been very helpful, very collaborative in the work that you have been doing. The issue of social media, you can follow us on social media in X, is it X? Yes, X, at HBS Nairobi. Yeah, and also LinkedIn, you can get us there. So I have, for some reasons, I'm not able to see questions online, but I have one question that is very powerful and I want to read it. And this is, someone is challenging you, Dr. Kimani, and I hope you're up to the challenge. This is Hosea Kadego, says, the synthetic, it worries me to listen of the integration narrative by Dr. Kimani. The synthetic add to the non-synthetic biofertilizer might be a window for confusing farmers more, and opportunity to continue business as usual for agrochemicals business, and contradicts to the findings by Lucilicia and other soil health researchers and champions on the sensitivity of the microlife, biological life to the synthetic fertilizer, agrochemical, into brackets, pesticide. Is there a better way of communicating this integration narrative and transition pathway to full organic agroecological in the long run?
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Beverly Jalango, and I'm from Miss Earth Kenya. I'm a creative and a sustainability advocate and a mentor too. So first, I'd like to say thank you for this kind of forum and for having us today. Some of the things I've learned is, things to do with what the chemicals can do to our, to our soil, and the benefits of the biofertilizers, and also the appreciation for some of the communities, as Dr. said, that have actively integrated that in a whole community. But it, I think, makes us think that doesn't it make us think about having to include the consumer in this, because consumer is king. And to see that kind of environment developed, it's because there's that value at the end user that has an appreciation for for all this, because we may decide to work with our farmers and develop that value, but on the consumer end, some of us are looking at price points, some of us are looking at various other things that drive our purchasing choices. We are seeing that sustainability culture slowly growing within different purchasing communities. So is there anything that is being done to address advocacy that's directly towards that, incentive to farmers? I know about the subsidies you'd shared, but is there anything else? Is there policy, taxation, that allows for this to be a competitive product for a farmer, to allow for those consumers looking at price point to look at such products favorably? And then there's also that part of accountability. It's very easy. Everybody's trying to make money. Economy is quite challenging. What incentivizes me as a farmer, knowing the quick returns of the chemical, to stick with the bio? And is there any accountability that trickles down onto a consumer? We've seen the textile industry kind of eat grain and work with things like that to allow for labeling, taxation, especially when it's across borders, to monitor this. But is there anything that would monitor this if I go to a supermarket or even a grocery store and they say this is organic? I don't know what is organic from what is not. I'm just going by what they're saying. But again, money tends to drive certain things, profits drive certain things, and among that, could be dishonest or business practices. So is there anything that is being, or in the works, or is actively being done to address those things?
Thank you. Yeah. Can you pass the mic, Joachim, behind you?
Hello, my name is Raven Heid. I'm from the University of Bonn in Germany. And I'm researching on linkages between green hydrogen and Kenya topics and green fertilizer. So I'm looking at the green hydrogen roadmap in Kenya. There's envisioned that until 2032, I think 50% of the fertilizer imports are supposed to be replaced by domestic fertilizer production, green fertilizer production. And first, my question is, what is your take on green fertilizer as this kind of vision? And secondly, this kind of vision is envisioning like relocation of a fertilizer production from the global north to Kenya. What kind of opportunities do you see in this kind of relocation in impacting the fertilizer supply chain towards a more organic based fertilizer production?
Your question is directed to who? Is it directed to who your question? In a specific?
Yeah.
Okay, the gentleman behind.
Hello, and good afternoon. So my name is Chacha, and I'm a journalist. I work with the Standard Media Group here in Kenya. The question I'm asking as a journalist. I'm not asking as someone who is working for a special interest group. So something interesting happened a few years ago. There was crisis in Sri Lanka, and then the government was dethroned. Part of what led to that is that there was crisis in financial flows. I think the dollar, and the president actually, one of the things that the president did was to ban synthetic fertilizer. And about approximately a month, 1 year or some months later, production went down. Rice production went down by 20%. Tea production went down by 18%. So I'm asking this question because I would want to understand, is the conversation about fertilizers reducing production, increasing production, or it's about fertilizer reducing the quality of the food? Thank you.
Go back to, just Mali, yes.
Okay, I think I have about 2 questions and 2 comments. The first question is about to the Mashinani guys. Allow me to call you that. Today's topic was about soil health, soil testing, etc. You realize that in Western, the larger part of Western Kenya, the threat to soil health is water erosion, right? Counting to about 30 rivers, 175 streams, 20 swamps present in that area. So we have issues of flooding, etc. So what are you trying to do to mitigate that? Because I don't remember the last time I saw gabions being constructed, barns, terraces, etc. My second question would be to the seller. I think it's more of a recommendation than a question or a proposal. We need to demystify the fact around organic fertilizer being bulky. For instance, as an extension officer, if I go to the field today, I tell a farmer I want to sell organic fertilizer. The first thought that comes to his mind is, mbolea ni mzito, tuseme ni samadi na kuaga mzito, utatransport aje. I think we need to demystify that. And about the proposal, rather the recommendations, I think we need to bridge in the gap between indigenous knowledge and modern knowledge in soil conservation. For instance, on my side, working in the field, we had a program doing merging a cocktail of moringa, red chilies, neem, and ash solution to control pests. And it works effectively. So if we consult farmers to embrace what they were using initially, because our farmers literally have knowledge. If a pesticide fails, farmers will always have a plan B, because they've been doing that for the last 30 years or more. Okay, and the last recommendation is on, I think it was an observation, sorry, let me finish on that. Observation on the mushroom emergency in Western Kenya. I think it was handled by Bona, don't remember your name, but I'm sorry. In the previous years, we had mushrooms in Western Kenya. We had about 3 varieties. We had the smaller ones in a native language called the mvumekere. We had the vukotwe, it's a bigger variety with a white cup. We had another one called, I don't remember the other name. Those mushrooms, I think, the last mushroom I saw was in last year, but we had an issue. The mushrooms were sprouting, but due to continuous cultivation, herbicide use, we find that the mushrooms sprouted but died inside the ground. So farmers were digging and finding mushroom already dead. So I think it's an issue of enlightening the farmers to control pesticide use, maybe embrace minimum tillage, etc. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's keep our questions short because we might not have another round. Joachim, it's your turn now. You said you have a question? Okay, I come to this side. This side, I have neglected this side for a long time, and I'll have the 3 questions be at on that table, then that will be it. Yes.
Good afternoon. My name is Washara, working with Kotri Community Organization and Training for Risk Reduction. I have 2 questions that are related. And I want to thank the organizers of this forum. It's been very insightful. And those insights we've been able, from the presentations on the soil atlas, I'm just thinking, I've said that we are a grassroots organization. I'm just wondering, what strategy are we going to put in place to ensure that all these information, very rich document, gets to the people who need it most? Because like one of the speakers said, 3/4 of our farmers are really smallholder farmers. That means they are in the rural areas. And we know there is the challenge of, I'm glad we have an extension officer here, but we have that challenge, especially in the areas where we work, because the policy is that extension services are demand-driven. So if the farmers don't have the information, then they are unable to. And tied to that is really the issue of policy. And the issue of communication has been said here. So how do we ensure that the policies, for example, the National Agroecology Strategy or plan, gets to the grassroots, so that, because that is the bulk of the producers. Unless we are able to do that, then all this beautiful information, all the insights that we have gotten here may be in vain. So for me, it's a big request. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, all. My name is Alice Kemto from Consumer Grassroots Association, and I want to really thank the team for this beautiful atlas. And I believe that if it's going really to be put into practice, then by and by our soil will be healthy. She has asked one of the questions that I had about ensuring that this information goes to the grassroots, so I will not repeat that. But the other thing that you want to talk about, and especially the person representing the markets, is that today I want to stand as someone who is standing on behalf of consumers of farm input products. Yeah? So what consumers look for is something that they can trust, something that can work. So what we are struggling with is that consumers can't really tell whether what is in the market can be trusted, can be utilized so that they are able to get good yields and safe yields for consumption. Why I'm saying this is because I have personal experience. I have a small farm in Western Kenya, somewhere in Siaya. And I bought organic fertilizer from another place to go and do the farming, only to realize that what was sold to me was ideally not organic fertilizer. And that's why my question of trust comes from. The reason why consumers have issues with organic products in the market is that associating it with what it's really supposed to be becomes a challenge. So what can we do? This is a very good material that we have that needs to be utilized. Yes, we are not the people that are going to utilize it in the ground, Fred. I'm going to cut short. So what can we do? The issue here is trust, because if a consumer trusts you, they will come even to your house to get the products. You don't need to market anymore. So what can we do to ensure that happens? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you to HBF for organizing this and bringing to us very knowledgeable people on these topics. We are going to come out of this with a lot of information and knowledge. My name is Buka Owur. I consult in agriculture and livelihoods, but I also work with cereal farmers across this country. And I have concern with Dr. Kimani, who sits at the Calro, about certain aspects of policy that are in place on agricultural sector. Perhaps why we are feeding on, there's a lot of talk about one crop to the detriment of others, but I think it's a policy issue because when you look at National Cereals and Produce Board, they only talk about one cereal to the detriment of others, and that puts a lot of emphasis on one crop. But one of the things that I wanted to ask is, we have organic pesticides. We are going organic in most of the aspects. But can we also start talking about organic herbicides? Because we also have to produce our food competitively. If you have 10 acres of a crop and you want to mechanically do weeding, it becomes too expensive. But I don't think there's any platform that is already talking about organic herbicides that can help us with the issues of weeding. I wanted to address Engineer Kiplagat, but he's not here. Perhaps maybe then I'll get him outside. But I need also to commend Otieno, what you are doing there, and it is good that the county government are embracing what you are doing. And I will ask Dr. Kimani, who sits at the Calro, if the same can be replicated at the national level, so that then we have a country that is growing healthy. Engineer Kiplagat is telling us that they want to make agriculture great, but he's not telling us to which greatness is he going to make it. It can be great in giving us things that are poisonous. It can be great in making us food sovereign with things that are going to harm us. And Dr. Mokaya, you talked about your father living for so many years, and I think you said he must have been feeding on some very good food that made him live longer. But then before you finished, you said that he also had 7 wives. So I don't know whether the 7 wives also contributed to him living longer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Book. So for that light moment, thank you. I'll come back to my panel here, and I will start with you, Dr. Kimani. I think there are 2 questions for you. The first one that was heavy, and the second one about the organic herbicides. Maybe you want to start with that, and then I'll go next to June.
Thank you. I'll start with the one about confusion of integrating. And I would like us to be very clear about my statement that when we talk about integration, we are talking about integrating synthetic fertilizer with the organics. I'm not talking, I wasn't talking about integrating agrochemicals or other other chemical forms with synthetic fertilizer. So that needs to be very clear. And I don't want to run the risk of being misquoted because I'm not a politician. Those are the ones who get misquoted, and they can explain themselves. So we are talking about integrating synthetic fertilizer with organic fertilizers. Sawa sawa. Because a crop does not discriminate. A crop absorbs nitrogen in form of nitrate. Okay? And this nitrate, the crop doesn't know whether it is coming from organic or inorganic. That's why we talk about integrating. And I think that needs to be clear. We are not talking about integrating chemicals with the fertilizer. And our work has shown, as I said before, in Calro, that combining synthetic fertilizer with organics or using organic fertilizers alone gives the best option. So that is the message we need to carry from Calro and by extension from the ministry. We are not saying we mix fertilizers with the agrochemicals. The other question I think which touched on me was the place of green fertilizer in Kenya. We do have in the country a green hydrogen strategy, and there are efforts already of producing green ammonia. We have a factory in Naivasha which produces green ammonia, and that green ammonia is being diluted from anhydrous form to aqua ammonia. And we are now in the process, Calro and partners in the ministry are now in the process of seeing how that can be used by smallholders. It's not yet there. And even the big people are not yet there, but that work is there. And there is a study supported by GIZ which looked at the feasibility of using green ammonia by smallholder farmers. Okay? And also, the government is also supporting the green hydrogen and their efforts to produce by other private sector players to produce the green hydrogen, which hopefully will be converted into ammonia and into granulation by fertilizer companies to end up supplying fertilizer to the people. So in terms of green fertilizer, I think we are quite there, and the engineer could add more. I don't know much about the details, but we are heading there somehow or the other. Chacha, the journalist, I think what we are talking about here is improving fertilizer use efficiency. We are saying most of the fertilizer we apply ends up not being useful in terms of crop production. When you apply fertilizer in an acid soil, and our soils are acidic, for example, Western Kenya and the mountain region, the soils are very acidic. The leading acidic counties, soil acidic counties are Kakamega, Kisii, Murang'a. Those are and you see these are the places where we have our bread basket. When you apply fertilizer, the efficiency of that fertilizer is reduced by the acidity, because the acidity binds. It ends up binding the phosphorus that you apply, so that when you apply a fertilizer, it's only be useful maybe 45% or 65% because the soil is acid. So we are saying, how can we improve our soils? For example, we know we can lime soils, of course, but we can also use organic materials to reduce the acidity. It will not solve it as lime would, but when you use organics, you reduce the soil acidity and you improve fertilizer use efficiency. You get a better crop yield, and that crop can uptake more nutrients from the soil. So what you get, what Dr. is saying, you get a healthy crop. That's what we are talking about. Yes, quality and quantity by reducing by improving the efficiency. Jose Maria, you talked about water degradation and erosion by water. Yeah, we used to have a soil and water conservation branch. Now we don't have it, and that is in the docket of our engineer. His government, when he's here, he would know what plans they have to address conservation issues. But I'm sure they have plans for that. All I can say is that in terms of reaching the end users, we have a soil and water conservation handbook. It's actually ready. I don't know when it will be launched, but if every one of us here had it, at least we would be going a long way in terms of addressing the issue of soil erosion.
If you may allow, then others to address the others, because there were some that were directly addressed to you, and then I'll get you, come back to you for that. Okay? I'll come to you, Johnny, because there were specific questions that were directed to you. I think there are 3 of them. One was on the advocacy or if there are incentives. I think these are questions also that can be addressed by Engineer Kipragat, but maybe you want to attempt. The second question was...
I really, can I interject as they are talking?
Yes, please.
Because really, I think there are issues, if you don't mind, Joachim and Harun. Can I make some very serious clarifications?
Yes, Prof.
Really, I think, we see, thank you so much, really, and this for this meeting. Thank you, Joachim. You'll get, all of you are saying the right things and totally acceptable. But many of the things you have said could be misconstrued by the press. Chacha was here, he asked a very interesting question. Why? They can leave here tomorrow saying, they're sitting here by Joachim and Harun, have said every pesticide used, every work we do, every soil we have in this country is poisonous. And that mushrooms have disappeared completely because of... Those are journalistic matters that can sell papers so quickly, so nicely, and I could do it if I was a journalist now. Engineer Kiplagat, one, allow me, I'm not going to make a speech, my brother, senior one, junior. Extension services is low. The questions we are actually asking is about information going out. Number 2, a sitting like this is heavily soil-centered. This country now, people are increasing in numbers. The actual fertile soils are now being built of houses. You can't get enough good soil within an area to do what you want. The third one, my sister there, you really cannot, and I challenge you on this. If I wanted 10,000 bags of organic fertilizer in 2 weeks' time in Nyamira, my brother's place, or in Solai, I can get it. You cannot get it. It's impossible. You are here sitting. You can't. Can you?
Yes, we can.
10,000.
It's about planning.
Not planning. It is going to rain in April.
Yes.
So shortly, April is going to rain. And if I wanted 10,000 fertilizers of 25 kg, I shall get it. Great, then I can.
Yeah, and that was a question, one of the questions that she was asked.
Yeah.
I would have given her a chance to explain.
Yeah, another, I think let me get on pesticides. I think I need a talk sometimes. I'm finishing, sir. Just pesticides. Look, Prof, you have all types acting back and forth within areas. Not all of them can destroy completely. Some add, others are impaired. You must use others, otherwise you lose crops completely. But specifics like, they live here saying glyphosate again is condemned. Let us think, we talk again, and I think the idea is this: we should get multidisciplinary people in social sciences to even advise numbers, land. Here, land which is very good in soil is where we put houses. Other developed nations, they put houses on rocks to avoid utilization of extremely good soils. So I'm sorry I've taken time. Varun. Really.
Thank you. Those are very powerful comments, and I think we'll have a chance at later to look at them. But to be specific, because there were people who asked you some questions about competitiveness, about all this organic fertilizer. The second one was on the bulkiness. I think Jasmari asked about how do we communicate in terms of fertilizer being bulky, and I think it's connected to what Professor was saying.
Yes.
And the last question was the trust of the consumer on what you're producing. How do you ensure that what you're producing can be trusted? Those are the three questions.
Yes, thank you. Currently, we do not have incentives for production of organic fertilizers, and that is the first challenge. And two is that, and one of the incentives is actually a sustainable market. When you look at the inorganic fertilizers, this is a value chain that has been developed since 1940, when the inorganic fertilizers started coming into Africa. And with that expertise, for the last 80 years, they have managed to master that value chain. So they have good planning, all the way from source, which is not Kenya, from Saudi Arabia, Morocco, Germany, wherever, they all come out from outside the country. So they have mastered the art of demand planning. Why? Because they have a sustainable market. So, Professor, we need a sustained market. Then we will work backwards so that 10,000, you will be able to get it in 24 hours, because we have built the stocks in the pipeline from our warehouses to NCPBs to agro dealers. There is stock in the value chain. You'll be able to get it. Today, the consumption of organic fertilizers from our membership, it contributes only 3% of the consumption of fertilizer in this country, and it's very ad hoc. It has been an uphill task to convince the farmers to move or shift or try to incorporate organics into their farms, and it's been a hard sell because of the culture that we have, conditioned our farmers to the inorganic fertilizers for the last 80 years. Changing that mindset is not going to be a one-night wonder. So we will not sit here and talk about switching a farmer to an organic farmer overnight. And that is where the transition comes in, whereby the farmer starts incorporating the fertilizers so that they will see for themselves the impact that one bag is doing. So the next time he goes to the agro dealer, he will order 2 and 3 and 4. So what accountability do we have in place? We are governed with a KEBS standard that's in place. So we are certified by KEBS. And there are other certifications that also recognize organics. Kilimo-Hai, I think I saw their banner here. Corn. There are certifications that are going on in the country, and there are many who can certify whether it's an organic fertilizer producer or an organic farmer producing organic foods. Those products will continue to be expensive because of the scale of economies. We are 3%, remember. Even the organic farm produce demand is about 3% on average in the world. But obviously, in other pockets, for example, in Europe, there's a bigger, demand of organic foods. So when we grow this, when we grow the market for consumers to demand healthy food, whether it's organic or more healthy food, then we will start selling more of our foods. We will produce more and reduce the cost of production. That will help us to deliver our products at an affordable price. So I hope that has addressed the lady at the corner. How do we deal with bulkiness? They are no longer bulky. I can sell to you a 10 kg bag of organic fertilizer and soil conditioner today. I actually have some flyers I can give you of my product to start with as you go into our website to see other products that are available. You'll even get a 1 kilo, by the way. and it will be the size of the sugar bag that you'll also buy. So they're no longer bulky. So I hope we can be able to, so 50 kg, 25 kg, 10 kg, that's available. How do we disseminate this information to the farmer? 6.4 million registered farmers today. We cannot get them all in a day as well. So again, it will take time, but we start from here. And we start from Wamboi, is it Wamboi? Wamboi and team and Standard Group and Citizen and everyone else who's in the media. So we are building relationships with other stakeholders to disseminate this information, including Harun and all the other development agencies that are in the country to help us speak to these 6.4 million farmers. But it will not happen overnight. How do we build trust on regards to organic fertilizer? And yet again, it's about information. Remember, we are coming from a farmer who is used to buying DAP. Have you ever witnessed a farmer buying fertilizer in an agro dealer? I want 23, 23, 17. I sat there and I asked, does this farmer know what he's talking about? I want 17, 17, 17. Do you guys understand what that is? I want DAP, no, 18, 46. Are you with me? So now, this is a farmer who has been dealing with this conversation for the last 40 years. Now you go and tell him about an organic fertilizer. Do you know the first question you're asked? What is the NPK of your fertilizer? We are not selling NPK. And so when you start saying it's 1%, 3%, the farmer switches off. I need the one that is like this. So our task, yes, it's a tall order. We need to educate the farmers that organic fertilizers is not about NPK 1943, 46, or whatever it is. It's about soil health. And that is the conversation that we will start disseminating.
Thank you.
And for the gentleman who wants organic pesticides, I would want everyone in this room to take home. Healthy foods do not attract pests. So if you're dealing with pests, you need to address your soil. But see me if you need an organic pesticide. They are there to help you transition. Because once you transition and you address your soil health, those pests will go away.
Yeah, I want to come to our grassroots champions because there was a question for you, but it was partially addressed by Dr. Kimani. It's about the challenge of water, especially in the western region, the whole issue about flooding and all this. How are you doing it there? Maybe you share the mic, and also Dr. Mokaya, if you have any final also words that you want to share, then you pass the mic to Dr. Mokaya, please. Go ahead first.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, to my friend, we are involved in a lot of soil management practices at the farm level. However, we've realized that these interventions at the farm level sometimes do not have lasting impact because you'll have one farmer here, another one there, they are intervening, but the other landscape is not addressing. So we are trying to move to what we are calling a landscape approach intervention, where if you want to address an issue like soil erosion, or you try to address it through a catchment intervention, where they are going to do it can be through cultivar grass, it can be construction of terraces that can be able to retain this, and it is across the landscape. If you are doing it in a plot or a farm level, and your neighbors are not doing it now, the impact is minimized. So we are trying to transition at that level, but the interventions are there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for addressing the issue on transition. And I think Chacha did mention the issue about Sri Lanka and the reduced yields. And I think that is just a transition issue. And many journalists have asked about that question. You know, you get all sorts of leaders, and somebody will just wake up and say, switch off this, and we take this without having any transition. I'm sure you also have many examples even in our country here, which I may not talk about. There's, you know, in Western Kenya, let me talk specifically around Vihiga and even Kakamega. There's a challenge on land fragmentation and issue around encroachment, even in the river valleys. And that is a great problem, because now you do not have the native trees, the indigenous trees that actually used to shield the soils from getting eroded. And it's a land use issue, is a policy issue. And this encroachment is not something that even we as civil society are addressing, but we are modeling using an agroecological system, showing examples on how farmers can be able to have a whole farm approach and use various technologies like vetiver and integration of the trees, so that you have zero runoff from your farm. And we are doing this by being by being members of the county stakeholder forums. We are members of the CASCOMs, and sharing these models with the county stakeholders, because issues around policy, and we cannot do that alone, as it was said. And it's actually the role of government, to stamp authority on this, and also now with the stakeholder forums and the participation of the locals in order to change those situations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For the next speakers, I will ask them to keep it 1 minute, please, because I have 4 people who have to speak. I'll go to Mukaya, and then Wamboi, and then Lucretia. Your final words.
Okay. 1 minute. Very, very difficult for me, because I teach, I preach, yeah, okay. Number one, Engineer Kiplagat, because I'm very aware, I've worked at policy level, I've been in this game for the last 40 years. So this audience, what's the take-home message? Number one, Engineer Kiplagat, you have been with us. We now have an agroecology strategy. That's a big achievement, because before, government was oriented to the old thinking. That thinking, of course, with all due respect, that Professor Michel comes from. Things are changing now. As Professor Engineer Kiplagat said correctly, there is a new population that is going to influence policy in this country and globally. They are the young people. In this country, we call them Gen Zs. These guys are wizards in communicating. They are our sons and daughters, they are our granddaughters and grandsons, and in my case, all apply. They have taught me a lot. They've turned everything upside down. So some of these mundane things you're talking about, they are asking for quality in terms of the food they are consuming. So the issue of demand is already happening globally and locally. Those who know, know. A good example, that's my number 2 point. What's happening in the US right now? A guy who, like me, was called a conspiracy theorist, a RFK, my good friend, I know him personally, he's now, guess what? Anybody know? He's the Health and Human Services Secretary. And do you know what he's doing right now? He's dismantling the mafia that was destroying the health of Americans. There is a new slogan, make Americans healthy again. I want to agree with my good friend again, C.S. Motai, and he will smile wherever he is because we know each other. I don't want to say anything more. To make agriculture great again, we must embrace the principles of the agroecology strategy and start, listen to this very carefully, with healing the soil. We must abandon that method of using the leftovers of World War II to grow our food. We cannot use toxins and poisons, I repeat, to grow our food. We can't grow things that kill the microorganisms to kill the soil organisms. Would you know what they do? Those residues, when they come into our body, they also kill us slowly. Let me explain in 1 minute. If you destroy the healthy microbiome in your gut, and journalists listen carefully, in the stomach, and that's what things like glyphosate, aka Roundup, do. They chelate, they bind those essential minerals in the body, they destroy, because this is a broad spectrum antibiotic, especially Roundup. They kill those probiotics. You end up with what we call a leaky gut. The leaky gut destroys your immunity or reduces it, and from then, things that shouldn't go into your blood system go into your blood system. Remember, you ate them, and you ate them because they came from the soil. And guess what happens? diabetes happens, cancer happens, blood pressure happens, arthritis happens, and Alzheimer's.
We follow Ecom, right?
I will stop there.
On YouTube, right?
Yes,
Ecom.
I'll stop
You
there.
said ecom.com. Yeah?
Organic Consumers Alliance
Thank you very much.
.org. I'll stop there.
Wamboi, there have been some challenge in terms of communication. Wamboi, for you. There have been in terms of communication.
So follow the Gen
What are
Zs.
some of the key ways that we can make it easier, especially advisors. No, other than this publication. Quickly.
In terms of making communication easier, I think having easier access to experts would make things easier, because sometimes transferring this knowledge and breaking it down to terms that farmers can understand isn't always easy. And then the experts are very busy out there, and when they give you the feedback you get, it's so technical that even passing it down to farmers becomes a problem. So if we could break it down fast, then we are able to pass it to farmers faster and easier.
Thank you very
All
much.
right.
Lucrecia, you are in research. You are, ICRAF, C4, doing quite a lot. Your final words and take-home message, please.
So, as for ICRAF, we advocate for soil monitoring and soil testing. And I'll just say it's always very important to know the status of your soil before you can make any decision. And soil properties and soil microbial communities are all interlinked. For instance, the pH, as we've said, will affect the presence or absence of microbes. So it's very important to know the status of your soil so that you can make more informed decisions. And as for ICRAF, we are testing soil for smallholder farmers. And the way you sample your soil is also very key, because as I said when I was beginning, you will not sample from one area and make more informed decision. You need a more representative of the whole farm to make more informed decision. So we cannot talk about soil microbial community alone, because they are all interlinked with the other soil properties, but basically the soil microbial are the drivers of the whole ecosystem.
Thank you very much. And I know this is not easy also for me to cut short everyone. But at this moment, I would like to recognize the president, the director. This mic is failing me. Director of Agriculture, Nairobi County, that is Mr. Kenyanjui. I'll give you 2 minutes. Mr. Kenyanjui, I'll give you 2 minutes. And then, and especially the question was, how do we ensure that some of this policy gets to the grassroots?
Thank you very much. All protocols observed. My name is Joseph Kenyanjui. I'm the Director Agriculture Nairobi. And I'm glad to be here in front of my seniors, Engineer Kiplagat, Prof, who taught me many years ago when I was a small boy. And I want to just say that soil health is very critical, especially for Nairobians. By 2050, 50% of all the Kenyans will be living in urban areas, and we need to consume safe food, and that food has to be organically produced, and we must have good soil health. I'm very passionate about soil health, and I look at soil as a mattress. If the mattress has nails, then they'll pinch you. So the more the soil has microbes and the soil health, the soil nutrition, and that whole business needs to be taken care of. And one of the things I can say, one of the ways to address this issue is policy. At county level, as my brother has said, we work with CASCOM, and Nairobi has a Nairobi City County Food System Strategy, which looks at the issue of agroecology as a key component in ensuring that we have the food that we grow is safe, it's organically grown, and we also look at, if you have been watching television, what has been happening, the waste that was dumped at Kenya Power. Actually, that never needed to go there. That is manure. So we need to look at food waste. Nairobi only, we have a population of about 5 million that consumes a lot of food, and there's a lot of waste. That waste needs to be processed, and I'm happy my sister, together with us, is working to produce organic fertilizers, and then that food waste is converted into biofertilizer, which can be taken to the rural counties so that we now reduce the use of organic fertilizers. Remember, this organic fertilizer comes from Morocco, Saudi Arabia, and we need to reduce the import bill. So as we work on the import bill, we also remember that when you put this fertilizer, the fertilizer that is not also able to hold water. You need to hold the science behind it. The soil has to look like a mattress. When you walk around here, outside here, and you see the Kikuyu grass that is planted, the only reason why that grass has survived this sunlight is because there's a mattress down there, and that mattress is made of organic matter. So I'm so happy that the soil atlas is out, and we are going to work with this. We have policies at county level, and in Nairobi we have we are doing the Nairobi City County Food Security Agriculture Bill, which now looks at urban agriculture, and one of the issues that we have really captured is the use of organic matter, use of fertilizer, and stuff like that. And we ensure that we increase use agricultural residues so to also address the issue of extension. Prof rightly said that the government has not been deploying a lot of extension officer, but we're using the group approach. We are making sure that we coalesce farmers around value chains, and we have programs that ensure that in each of the value chains, we train the farmers, and we ensure that we come up with good policies that support organic agriculture and reduce the use of these chemicals, because without good health, without good soil, as Prof. Daktari has said, we cannot have good soil, good health, and then we survive. So we are working on the policy framework to ensure that Nairobians have access to safe food, and they have access to clean food. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kinyanjui. At this moment, I would like to appreciate our panelists as they take their seat. Please let's appreciate them. Thank you very much. And I also want to apologize if I rushed any one of you. It's my duty to do that. Unfortunately, sorry. But next time we'll have more time to engage. For our online listeners, I know there were several questions that were asked online. I think Christine will take all the questions that were asked online. Then they'll be sent specifically to wherever they were asked, then they'll be addressed, right? Please. Yeah, please let us do that. And my final session is to welcome one of the few organic farmers that I know around me, who always feed us with organic products, bananas, avocados, even, in the office, to give his closing remarks, and that is Joachim. Yeah. You're welcome, Joachim.
Thank you, Fred. First time I'm introduced as an organic farmer. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for the panelists. Thanks to the panelists for this intense discussion. I know we absorbed a lot of information. We had intense discussion. We want to break, and we want to continue in the break our discussions informally. I don't want to take too much time from you, but to give you a few words from our perspective as closure. So, and let me just respond to Fred. It's true, I am an amateur agroecology practitioner, and indeed, since we talk about mushrooms, they when it rains a lot, I don't know, in April or so, it rains a lot, the mushrooms appear in our garden, which is not very far from here, and we eat them actually. They don't look like the big ones, like my friend over there showed me in Western, but they are mushrooms that come naturally from the ground and we can consume them. So I think that's a good sign. Distinguished guests, dear friends, colleagues, partners, Engineer Kip Lagat from the Ministry of Agriculture, thank you for being with us again, like in other events before. It's great to have you here, and thank you for your speech. Also, the gentleman who spoke from the county, thank you very much for being here and giving your contribution. Actually, first I want to extend my thanks. That was a great work that has been done to produce the Soil Atlas, and the Soil Atlas, the Kenya edition. So, and also I like to thank everybody for the active participation in our discussion. I think there were so many questions, so many ideas, so many contributions. It shows how big the interest is in this matter that we talk about into agroecology in soil. Harun would correct me instantly, soil. And it's so important, and it's really fantastic to have you all here, and also our participants online. We don't see them. Actually, I don't also know how many are online, but there are questions coming from the online participants. I think that's also great. So I believe that after listening to the presentations and the panel discussions, we agree, quote, our soils are the foundations of life. They nourish crops. They filter water. They store carbon. We didn't touch on this one, but they do. And they sustain biodiversity. Yet, as the Atlas powerfully illustrates, soil remains one of the most overlooked and undervalued resources. I think we heard a lot of comments and ideas about that today. In Kenya and across Africa, healthy soil is essential for agriculture, food security, and the livelihood of millions of rural communities. Though we often face the counter-argument that agroecology cannot provide food security. That is something that it's a counter-argument that is brought to us, and I think what we're all doing here is to show the opposite. The technical insights shared in the publication, and I hope you also got the little bookmark. It's here available on the table. It has a QR code and it takes you directly to the publication, but also the articles that are published on Kenya and East Africa. It also gives you, by the way, more information about us, the Heinrich Böll Foundation, and the Root to Food Initiative, and has all social media handles and website addresses here. The technical insights in this publication are sobering but also inspiring. They reveal that 1/3 of the world's soil are degraded due to unsustainable agricultural practices. And today we heard 40% of soils in Kenya, if I'm rightly informed, and on the continent. Somebody mentioned that today, on the continent, 40%. Due to unsustainable agricultural practices, deforestation, pollution, and climate change. Here in Kenya, challenges such as land overuse, we heard that, land overuse, deforestation, and climate variability are further eroding arable lands, weakening soil resilience, and intensify food security. Moreover, the use of synthetic fertilizers, while offering short-term gains, accelerates greenhouse gas emissions and undermines the long-term health of our soils. Or as my colleague Harun Warui put it earlier today, how can we go beyond synthetic fertilizers? And I think that is also what our panelists, also Dr. Kimani from Cairo and others pointed out very eloquently today. However, amid these challenges, the Atlas also offers a beacon of hope. It outlines innovative solutions and sustainable land management practices, from agroecology to community-led initiatives like agroforestry and reforestation. These approaches are do not only restore soil fertility, but also enhance biodiversity and climate resilience, and are an urgent call to action for all of us. I'm deeply grateful to all contributors to the Atlas, the authors who wrote pieces in the Atlas, the editors who are with us, or the editor who is with us today, the reviewer. All of those rigorous work has made for the Soil Atlas. And thank you to all of those. I did not mention the graphic designer. If you browse through the Atlas, you see a lot of infographs, and the infographs capture actually a lot of information. So a lot of work went into that. So our dedication inspires us to transform the way we value and care for our soils. And to all of you joining us today, thank you for your commitment and to driving meaningful change. And I especially like to thank my colleagues here in the room who participated and participated in producing the Kenya edition of the Atlas, and contributed relentlessly since quite some time. A lot of work went into that. There is, of course, my colleague Harun Warui, who has been here in the forefront. There's Harun. Thank you, Harun. One of my colleagues who was very much engaged in this work and putting the event together, in preparing the Atlas, etc., who did not surface so much today yet, is over there, Christine Gadwiri, who works with us in the program and also of the Root to Food initiative, where you see our banner over there. Then there is Fiber, where are you? Fiber Combo, our I shouldn't say comms officer, but our program coordinator communications. Thank you, Fiber, for the great work in disseminating that, preparing all the press release and all the materials that we have. Great job, thank you, Fiber. Of course, my dear colleague here, Fred Njau, who led us so nicely and well through the day. Thank you, Fred, for being here with us. There are also my colleagues. Where are they? There is Khadija Edi. Thank you. There is Loreen. I saw Loreen Yambura over there from our office. And Maureen Akini Odera from our team. She's also here around. So, dear team, it's really a privilege to work with you. I'm very happy, and I'm very happy that we were able, and that you were able, and that you were able with our partners who spoke and whose banners you see around here, and all participants and contributors today to pull this together. Thank you very much, and see you soon in one of our next events. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Christine announcement and Fiber announcement.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christine Kachwiri. I'm the project coordinator at Root to Food Initiative. Root to Food is an initiative of the Agroecology and Food Rights Program under HBS. So I'm here to give announcements. We have come to a close of the program, and I need to give you directions on what next. But before I do that, give me 2 minutes to talk about the Root to Food Initiative. As I've said, it's an initiative under the program, Agroecology and Food Rights Program. Please go to root2food.org. Root to Food as in path, root path, ROUTE, to food.org. I assume you're there. So you, from the homepage, there's a display of some of our most assessed documents, and then who we are. You can read more about what we do and who we are. And then the one thing I specifically want to highlight today is the resource hub. It's okay. So I'm assuming you're following with me on your phone, please. So under Resource Hub, you'll find reports. News and announcements, the blog, and the magazines. If you click on reports, you'll see all the publications that we've made in the last few years, including Farmers Resource Guide, which was launched last year. There's also the Toxic Business, Highly Hazardous Pesticides in Kenya, and several other documents. They are very, very easy to browse, as you can see on that screen. Easy to browse, easy to download, and easy to view as well. If you go to the blog, there are also articles that we've written over the years, as well as several issues of magazine, and also there are quite interesting articles on food rights and food system transformation. Two more things I want to mention is the agroecology class. Agroecology class is an introductory class we have on agroecology. So if you've been wondering what people are talking about when they say agroecology, please sign up for that class. It's free and there's a certificate at the end. And it was actually developed by Dr. Ulu. I know many of you have heard of him. So please sign up, learn more about agroecology. Lastly, I want to talk about the Root to Food Alliance. It's a group of like-minded people who also champion the right to food through agroecology. So we have a WhatsApp group, and we also have an email group, an email database group, and we're also able to keep in touch that way. I don't know how many people are here who belong to the Alliance. Please raise your hand. Thank you. Thank you. So the rest of you, please make sure you join the Alliance. Go to the website. There's this big red button saying join the Alliance. Please join us. This year we are meant to have some networking sessions every month with guest speakers and also moderators from the Alliance. So it's really an opportunity to network and meet people who are doing this work. That's it for the Root to Food. Also follow us on social media. We are everywhere at Root to Food. LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram as well, and also as YouTube.